Off and running on a Tuesday, November 12th. And partner, we blinked and all of a sudden it's week 11 of this NFL regular season, which means it's Steelers week. The Ravens will travel to Pittsburgh coming up on Sunday, and that's what we're working towards. So welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside my co-host, Sarah Ellison. And Sarah, everyone's not so favorite host out there, Nick Wright, at least in Ravens country. And I don't want to speak for everybody. I'll speak
Kansas City, they love him. Yeah,
they certainly do. And maybe I'm just speaking for some in the live chat that like to get after him for his takes, some of which is certainly deserving. His co-host made a pretty big accusation against Nick in terms of what he had to say recently about Lamar Jackson. And I'm sure some of that is related to his track record when it comes to the coverage that's very uneven or maybe even very biased when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Remember, Nick Wright is a noted Kansas City Chiefs fan, as you just alluded to. Justin Tucker, some of you guys mentioned this in our live chat yesterday, and we went ahead and took a look at this guy, Isaac Punts, who is an NFL punting analyst. He's a creator on YouTube, got a huge following. And so, yeah, you ask, and hopefully you'll receive that coming up in just a bit here. What could potentially be the real reason, according to Isaac, behind Justin's funk and a number of other things? Good to see you, partner.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those days where we're actually doing content where people reached out to us. It's a very audience led show today because they reached out to us on Isaac Punts, and a lot of people reached out to us via Twitter, via email to get us to talk about this first things first kind of conversation. So tell me about this sweater you got on today. This is sticking out to me today for some reason.
you and my mother both.
Oh, okay.
My mom's in town for the next, she has been here since Wednesday of last week, and she's staying through Friday, and we celebrated her birthday and whatnot this past weekend. But yeah, just as I'm going into the studio and closing the room and whatnot, she's like, "Hey, is that new?" I said, "Matter of fact, it is." I went down to J. Crew last week. I was looking for a bow tie for the wedding that I went to on Saturday, and ended up apparently getting distracted in J. Crew and finding some winter stuff. So here we are.
Like because we see each other daily, we notice differences in the wardrobes. Now, is it tan or is it yellow?
Whoever's saying it's yellow, I think that's actually a reflection of my ring light.
Yes.
Yeah, this is more of a tan.
Yeah.
A tan color. Yeah,
I
it's actually
when I wear tan, it comes off that way too with the lights. So.
It's comfy. I'm trying to wonder if I'm actually jumping the gun here a little bit. It's like high 50s today in Baltimore, but my studio is in the sun for the majority of the afternoon. It's a little warm in here, but regardless, we're ready to roll.
All right. So first
thank you for the compliment and the observation. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. First things first, the segment started out super fun, especially for Ravens fans. The show starts out and they're like, "Hey, where's Chris? Where's Chris?" And then the camera pans over. Chris is bringing out the broom, Bobby, bringing out this broom, because apparently this happened on Friday after the Ravens win over the Bengals. Clearly a sweep over these Cincinnati Bengals. And, he's got on his purple red robe as they always do. So it starts out very light, very fun. And then things got serious from then on out. They start talking about the question posed to the panel was, can Lamar Jackson continue to bail out the defense? And we mentioned this yesterday. There's never been a Super Bowl winner with the worst pass defense in the league. And that's currently what's happening. So they start talking about it. And as you know, Nick Wright, who is just stands on a mountaintop for Patrick Mahomes, and which is fine, but for some reason always feels the need to slight Lamar Jackson. And Kevin Wildes feels like, well, Lamar's just going to get the bad end of the stick if he's not able to overcome this 32nd worst pass defense. And things got passionate, as they do sometimes inside the vault. So take a listen.
Single one of their playoff losses, he has been terrible.
So if he loses 28-24, you're like, wow.
Lamar Jackson.
Great
I
job.
I don't. Wild.
No chance.
Okay.
No chance.
So you have your knives sharpened for Lamar. You do.
Oh my. Okay.
You do. You have. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying you collectively. The media has their knives sharpened.
Can I ask you a question?
For a Lamar playoff failure, and he's going to come in mediocre in the playoffs if he does, because John Harbaugh's defense cannot get it done.
Okay.
That's what is going to happen unless something changes.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How should the media, since you think I, as a vessel for it, have my knife sharpened, how should the media, in fairness, treat Lamar's playoff resume?
That's a fair question.
Right.
As it is.
Okay.
You should treat it as it is, but with the caveat, give him credit for the buys.
That's fine.
That's the only thing.
So I would ask respectfully to not assume that I or others are going to do something that up to this point we have not done. No one has found the great Lamar playoff game that they lost and said, he can't get it done. What has happened is, in his 4 playoff losses, they have lost and he's been terrible. It's been their worst offensive game of the year, his worst game of the year, and they've lost.
Okay,
if that changes, that's fine.
Patrick Mahomes scored 17 points and won.
Yes, Wild.
So Lamar, that's not. All I'm saying is that is not on the board for Lamar. And if he scores 17 points and loses 17-21, people are going to kill him. When Patrick Mahomes rode this defense, complimentary football, into the Super Bowl.
Bobby, so he's saying he backs off a little bit, but Kevin Wildes is like, you have got your knives sharpened for Lamar. Backs off a little bit and says, okay, maybe not you, but the media. Your thoughts on that?
Nick didn't like that.
Nick was a little bit triggered by that for sure.
Nick Wildes got under his skin there a little bit. You know, when you look at the track record, as I referenced earlier on in the intro, of the way in which Nick has chosen to cover Lamar as a Chiefs fan, which shouldn't always be a part of the conversation, right? When you're an NFL analyst, we should all give and trust you with the ability on a national level to look at things objectively. At times, having watched him pretty consistently here as just a method of this show, right? Because since we try to react to various national platforms that bring takes and analysis of Lamar and the Ravens and the team that we cover on a daily basis, it's been hard for me to consistently think that Nick's going about this objectively. I'm not saying in this segment, but it's been hard. And his track record, I think, opens up that conversation for Wildes to be well within his right to make an accusation like that. And I know I certainly don't view it as being out of bounds whatsoever. Now, the fair follow-up, I agree with Kevin. That was a fair follow-up of Nick's. His playoff resume has been the one knock of what otherwise has been an iconic start to his career 6+ years in. What say you?
Well, so a couple of things. That's fine that you can ask the question back, and I like that Kevin said, well, you need to count the buys because that doesn't I don't know. I mean, I guess you can't do a playoff record when you get a bye. You can't like give them the win, but that's essentially what it is. Like you advance. That's number one. Number two, I would also add to what Kevin said is like, can we remember the wins? Like, can we remember how he put the team on his back in the second half of the Houston game? Can we remember the revenge game he got on the Titans? Like that's like people say he's always terrible in the playoffs. Well, again, what about those buys and what about those wins? Like he put the team on his back. So here's what I'll say. That's fine that you can't put future words into Nick Wright's mouth. You can't do that. But he's sitting here acting as if he's like, I ask respectfully that you don't, assume what I'm going to say. Okay, well, I won't put future words in your mouth, but 3 minutes earlier, Nick, don't sit here and all of a sudden get like, oh, but why would you think that about me? When 3 minutes earlier, Chris Broussard was talking about this season that Lamar Jackson is having, not just MVP, but iconic. So Chris Broussard lays out how good that is, and you listen 3 minutes earlier before he's respectfully asking that you put trust in him. Listen to his response when Chris Broussard puts out the type of season that Lamar Jackson's having right now.
Lamar Jackson is not only having an MVP season, he's having a season for the ages. Like, if he keeps up this pace, this will be one of the greatest seasons individually in NFL history. And we'll show you the pace that he's on. All right, so he's on a pace to throw 41 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions.
Remarkable.
No one in the history of football in NFL has thrown 40 touchdowns with fewer than 5 interceptions.
Yep.
He's already obviously on pace to throw for more than 4,500 yards. No one has thrown for that many yards with fewer than 6 interceptions. Completion percentage is out of this world. Passer rating would be the best ever. Now, obviously, he may not keep this pace up, but this 10 games in, he's on this pace. Then you throw in 3 rushing touchdowns and nearly 1,000 yards rushing. Like, this would be
every single thing Brew just said about Lamar Judge is 100% true. I apologize. Aaron Jackson.
That doesn't work.
I'm sorry.
That does not.
Every single thing.
Because we in the regular season. We talk about the regular season. We'll get to the playoffs.
No, every single thing Brew just said about Lamar is true.
Okay, so yeah, spare me with the, why would you think I wouldn't give him his credit? Why would you think I wouldn't give him his credit if they lost in a shootout? Oh, I don't know, because Chris Broussard just laid out that he's having a season all time, not just right now. And your immediate reaction is like, yeah, let's give him as much credit as possible for the regular season so that I can call him Lamar Judge. So I can call him Aaron Jackson. Okay. So you said for 2 seconds, yes, Lamar is having a remarkable season. And then you called him Lamar Judge. So that's fine. Listen, either Nick needs to live in the world of disrespecting Lamar, where you're calling him Lamar Judge, and be the villain, because that's what you're doing. Those types of words are villain words. So stay in that, and then don't come over here and be like, oh, but why would you think I wouldn't give him his credit? Respectfully, please don't do that to me. No. It's one way or the other. And Bobby, you mentioned that Nick isn't objective. He's not, and he admits it. Just like I admit that I root for the Ravens. What I don't do is I don't go around acting like Patrick Mahomes isn't good, or I don't go around acting like, and people in the chat sometimes get mad that sometimes we give respect to other quarterbacks, like a Joe Burrow. I don't think Joe Burrow's and Lamar's got his number, right? But I still give him his due. I don't go around saying, those types of things, those types of daggers. You know what I mean? And so it's like, either you live in the, I'm not being objective, I like my quarterback, I'm a Kansas City fan, so I'm going to play this part up and live with it. But then don't switch up 2 seconds later and like act like you're a victim, that we all don't have faith that you're going to give Lamar his credit, just like you didn't do 2 seconds ago.
All right. Have a little bit of, have a backbone there. Don't be so triggered when your co-host says something that's in your mind outlandish, but to everybody else watching you, regardless of whether you're a Ravens fan or not, clearly understands that's actually not all that inaccurate whatsoever. By the way, for those of you in the live chat, just in case you aren't baseball fans, we all got that reference, right? Aaron Judge is routinely MVP caliber in the regular season for the New York Yankees. And as we saw this past postseason and in past seasons, also in past postseasons, he doesn't show up. And so that's the reference that he's dragging Lamar for right there. He's comparing him to somebody who notoriously has struggled in the postseason while he's been iconic in the regular season. That's Aaron Judge. So.
And just like for Aaron Judge, the knives are sharpened for sure.
Yes.
For sure. You want to be able to say, told you. You want to be the Shannon Sharp meme where you're like, see, like that is what they would prefer for sure. And I don't doubt for a second that if like Lamar were to falter or Lamar weren't able to overcome this 32nd ranked pass defense, that would continue to be the narrative. And that's what continue would for sure be pushing. Absolutely.
The only thing to be pushed is the facts. And the facts are, as Broussard said, Lamar's 17 game pace, and we've played 10, is on for a generational full season. Look at this. 41 touchdowns, just to 3 interceptions is what he's on pace for. Over 4,500 passing yards, a completion percentage of 69.1, a 123.2 passer rating, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 915 rushing yards.
Like, Bobby, that's almost a 5,500 yard season total. And the interception to touchdown ratio. Now look, I mean, he could, I doubt it, but he could go and have a 5-game interception game too, right? Just like Jeff Goff did up in Detroit, you know. So this is on pace. This is not Jared Goff. Sorry, Jared Goff just had last week. So this is a pace. We don't know if he'll keep it. It would be an insane pace, or it is an insane pace. But the only way that you can even put up a pace like that is because through 10 games you've been insane.
Right.
So, you know, it's hard to see him slowing down. But that's certainly what the Steelers are going to try to do this weekend.
Shall we shift gears to the Justin Tucker conversation, Sarah, that, again, our audience kind of gave us the helping hand on yesterday? Isaac Punts is a YouTube channel. Isaac is an NFL punting analyst. He also takes a look at kickers in this case. And as we all know, Justin Tucker has been in a funk. It was over a month ago that John Harbaugh referred to it as a technique issue, and kind of just begs the question now, having struggled from 50+ and having missed an extra point on Sunday, what's going on with JT9? Well, Isaac, I thought Sarah did a good job of breaking down pretty much all of Justin's season so far. And while he doesn't come out and explicitly point the finger at a certain part of the operation that goes into Justin's system, maybe there is some reason to believe, based on the cases and the examples that he shares, that it's not just Justin. Listen to Isaac Punts.
I hate to be a true panic-induced reactionary YouTuber, but is it actually time to panic? Justin Tucker this season has been, God, it's almost hard to say, but almost a liability to the Ravens. If you haven't been keeping up, let me walk you back through time a bit, okay? Against the Chiefs, he missed a 53-yarder where, by all accounts, it looks like a clean snap, clean hold, and at most, if I really have to nitpick, maybe the ball is leaned back a bit, and I'm only saying that due to sort of the diagonal rotation on the ball. Next, against the Raiders from 56, he pulls it again outside the left upright. This time, the rotation on it is what we call an X-ball, meaning he doesn't have that clean saw blade spin and is sort of tumbling through the air, which signifies that he didn't make great contact. But we're not done. Against the Cowboys, right middle, 46 yards. He pulls it left upright again. Notably, another diagonal rotation on the ball, a sign of not pure contact. And then Tucker against the Browns, maybe the most jarring one, 50 yards right hash, and he hits it thin, diagonal rotation, and that ball would have barely made it if it were on track. But once again, it's pulled. So now we've seen 4 misses, 4 pulls, and that all have been extremely detrimental, as the Ravens lost 3 out of 4 of these games, with the field position on those misses as well as the obvious lack of points from them being a little bit crucial. But now we have the weirdest one. Against the Bengals, the Ravens scored to potentially tie the game, but first, Tucker has to make an extra point, and it's crazy we even have to question that nowadays. And if you haven't gotten the theme of this video yet, buckle in, because he pulls it. Every single miss has been outside that left upright. So now we have to answer the question that you're all on the edge of your seat for as to why, and I did a deep dive, and genuinely, it might be the holds. We can see on the Browns miss that the ball is probably supposed to be on the corner, but the snap is a little bit far out, and the ball ends up a few inches inside of Tucker's spot, where Stout tries to lean it back to compensate. Against the Raiders, the one he makes, you can see the snap and hold are money, as they're a little bit off the corner of the hash mark where Stout's fingers are, but the miss, by every look I have at the ball, is a little bit too far forward from the spot. Against the Cowboys, it almost looks like the ball is too far back, as I'm trying to be as generous as I can be with where I'm marking the potential spot to be. Then of course, last night's extra point, the snap goes wide. Stout may have overcompensated and pulled it back too far close to himself. Now, the Chiefs snap is the only one that looked like money, but it also wasn't an egregious miss and had the most normal rotation and flight path. And also, this goes without saying, but hyper zooming in on a spot does not exactly give me the most accurate account of it. So there's a chance that with the camera shake and everything like that, some of the spots may be more or less accurate than I'm giving them credit for. So don't go after Stout, because I'm sure that they have better metrics and are addressing this within the organization. But on all of the makes, the snaps have looked just about perfect. So Ravens fans, don't lose faith in Tucker yet. I'm sure that this unit is going to get it figured out.
All good. Tucker for the point after.
So Isaac punts there, makes it clear in the end, don't go after Stout. But Sarah, at the same time, there is somewhat of a trend that he's witnessing here in his misses. And we know that Justin has struggled from 50 plus. And while it hasn't necessarily come back to bite them yet, it has in some of those losses where, scoring was coming at a premium. You think about Cleveland, for example. That could be one of the reasons here that Justin has always talked about for as long as he's been in this organization. And I can remember him sharing these in one-on-one conversations that I had when I was a part of the Ravens media team, Ravens radio team. It was the system. Everything is a detail-oriented system, and the system works for itself. Now, that was when he had Sam Cook with him, and that's when he had Morgan Cox. Sam has been widely regarded as the greatest holder in the history of football. Now, is that coming from folks within the Ravens organization? Yes, but at the same time, the Ravens organization from a special team standpoint, Sarah, has been highly well regarded for years and years and years for their consistency, and we all know John Harbaugh's background. So the system has changed a lot in recent years. Sam retires. He's now a consultant for the team, still around. You bring in Nick Moore as a long snapper. Jordan Stout is drafted as a punter. He becomes the holder. Nick loses all of last year to an injury. You bring in Tyler Ott to be the long snapper. He ends up having a great year for you. He leaves, Nick returns. There's been a lot of change, and you wonder if on top of Jordan's impact here, based on what Isaac is analyzing, is it a perfect storm right now with that and also just the change that they've endured as a group?
First of all, I thought it was funny at the end. I mean, I always appreciate it when somebody's like, now I could be wrong, but the way he said it was funny, where he was like, the entire video is about Stout's holding. And then he's like, but don't go after Stout. So, but I think that's his way of saying, now I could be wrong. This is just my thoughts from the outside. Obviously neither you nor I are holder experts on this, and so it's hard for me to get into the details and technique of it. And on top of it, if you were to ask Justin Tucker, there's no way Justin Tucker would throw Stout under the bus. However, it would be nice if the media went to Stout and said, hey, what are your thoughts on Justin Tucker? This is obviously an operation, what's your view of it? And just see if he might say something like, I could do better holding, because that's the only way you're going to get to the bottom of it, because nobody else is going to throw him under the bus. Or if there's more holding analysts out there all seeing the same thing, then maybe you can put some more stock into it. What he laid out there, yeah, okay, that ball doesn't look straight, or maybe it is overcompensated this way, yada, yada, yada. So it's like, it sounds good, but you would just want more data points on top of it, of people pointing it out, or going to ask the source and ask Stout his thoughts on it, because nobody else is going to throw him under the bus.
Deshaun Davis just dropped us a super chat and says, all you do is kick, and you can't do that. Get someone else. Deshaun, it's really more than that. There is a multi-step process that you have to do perfectly before Justin can kick it through the uprights. Like, it starts with a good snap from Nick Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And then the accuracy that's required for that good snap, that long snap. And then Jordan, of course, has to field, assuming that it's going to be an accurate and good snap, has to hold it properly and place it properly, all while Justin within seconds. This is all happening within seconds in real time before Justin can make impact. So it's a lot more than just Justin. And maybe, just maybe, if this is sort of the setback that they've been having, that makes me feel actually reassured that it's a lot more fixable than something like a psychological Justin Tucker setback or Justin getting older. This actually makes me feel a lot better. If it's a mechanical thing, the way that Isaac is suggesting it might be, I think that's actually a lot more fixable than the alternatives.
Yeah, and I will also say this, Sam Cook, you probably learned this during your time covering the team, is like one of those freakishly good athletes. Obviously not, like a not like a huge tough guy. So it's not like, he's an offensive or defensive lineman or a linebacker or whatever. Not the fastest dude, but like freakishly accurate at all sorts of different things. Golf, even when they would play, why am I forgetting the name of it? The game inside the locker room that they always played. You flip the beanbag.
Oh, cornhole.
Cornhole. Jeez, my gosh. Like anything that Sam Cooke could do, anything. And so there is, I mean, this is what they're paid to do, but like you're like good at punting, right? Which is like with your feet. And then all of a sudden it's like, but now you have to be great with your hands, like really quick and get the ball there and whatever. But I would really like it. I would love it if those that cover the team in the building would go ask Stout some of these questions.
Hey, and there's a reason too why they let Sam kind of hurl it every once in a while, right?
He was the emergency quarterback, and yeah.
A couple times at one point in his career, he was the most accurate passer in NFL history. You got to check that where things are right now. More super chats are coming in on this conversation. It's one that it's a hot topic because Justin's been doing this for a long time, been doing it at an elite level for a long time, and when he starts to kind of decide games in the opposite ways of what we're used to seeing. Remember, almost you talk about a weapon. Justin's been guaranteed to give you 1 or 2 wins per year almost since the day that he arrived. And so there has been maybe a little bit of a spoiled nature from some in the fan base because the Wolfpack was that good. I mean, Morgan Cox, Sam Cooke, and Justin Tucker, Sarah, for years were known as the trio, specialist trio that everybody else was trying to chase after. And since then, there hasn't been a consistent amount of continuity. And that's what I think was so impressive about last year, that they brought Tyler Ott in when Nick Moore went down with that season-ending injury, and he never heard his name, meaning he was doing his job. It was Justin who was struggling last year.
I will say this, I think it's more though, like you were saying, I do think we have been spoiled by Justin Tucker, but it's more than that. Like if he were just only missing 56 yarders and his leg wasn't as deep as it used to be because maybe he's aging, then it's like, okay, well, we'll live with that. He's still accurate. He just can't kick, the 63 yarders anymore or something like that. And so like the Raiders one where he missed a 56, okay. And like, I don't know, an extra point, the 46 yarder against the Cowboys, like that's not spoiled. Like you got to hit 46 yarders. Like obviously you got to hit the extra points. And like, again, going suddenly from like 63 to like missing consistently around 50, like 50, 53. But the leg isn't the issue. The depth of the ball isn't the issue. Yep. It's suddenly the accuracy. And that's what's so weird about it. And then what's also weird is like, Justin Tucker might be the most confident person I've ever come across ever. Like just like his opera, he'll go and rap. Like I remember when he was a rookie, he would just stand up and rap in front of like this locker room, and like the way he taught, like he just seems so and so even that feels weird. Is is it in his head now? Because it's so not Justin Tucker. So I don't know, but with it pulling left over and over and over again, you would have to think there's something within the operation that's not right, whether it's Tucker or Stout, although the snaps look fine. But it's got to be something in the operation.
More to come on this, I would think. But just to reiterate, we appreciate you in the audience who made us aware of this Isaac Punt video. And we appreciate, obviously, Isaac Punts for doing a deep dive. DMV Nation, thank you for the $10 super chat donation. Thanks for being here. David. Robbie Pate, says, did we not just see what happened on the Bengals' first game when they missed their kick? There's been a lot of different, obviously, a lot of teams are trying to figure out their kickers year in and year out, and that's something that's just been a mainstay for the Ravens for 10 years. You think about that. Gabe says, hard to kick when you get Charlie Brown. C. Brittle says, I can't watch First Things First because of Nick Wright's Lamar bias. Rayshawn Jones says, Bobby, I parked behind you on Sunday and got so excited because I thought you would be at the restaurant I was going to, but was sad to realize you just live near there. Haha. Random thought. I know exactly where you were, Rayshawn, and I know exactly what restaurant you were going to. Appreciate the super chat donation. Knock on the door next time. What the heck? Nor Vlog says, can't wait to see who Nick, aka oh boy, they're going after his nose, Sarah,
Oh,
Pinocchio,
like Lamar did.
like as Lamar did. Nor Vlogs, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, says, can't wait to see Nick, aka Pinocchio, will put on who Nick will put on the top of the mountain today. It better be MV3. Oh, a Ravens Moroccan fan.
Wow.
From Morocco. Heck yeah, I've been there twice. Have you been there?
I have been to Morocco.
You have?
It was
I
one of
thought
my,
so, yeah.
Yeah, we went there 2 summers ago, and it was a super, super fun trip. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here, Noir. And Jang says, off topic. I missed the live show yesterday. Bobby singing was entertaining, LOL. I'm happy to host a karaoke party if you ever find yourselves in Utah. Good to know. Thank you,
I
Jang.
often find myself in Utah.
I was
My
just going to
family
say,
lives
Sarah
there.
might be taking you up on that, and I might be following her along. You never know. So anyway, we appreciate you guys for being here. As you see as a pinned comment right now in the live chat, we're closing in on a 20,000 subscription milestone, and we would love for you to help us get there if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to the Vault, like the video, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. Where to next?
So, like clockwork, this is actually setting up quite nicely for me. Like clockwork, quarterbacks right before, or a little bit before, they meet up with Lamar Jackson, the media suddenly push him into the MVP conversation. Just a little pushy, push. A little tappy, tap. And here's the latest, courtesy of Chase Daniels on, what's their new show called?
Oh,
The Facility.
Yes.
Here we go. Tapping in a new MVP candidate.
I agree with you. Chargers are a legitimate threat, mainly because of the defense. But on the other side of the football, Justin Herbert is doing. His first 4 years in the league, he averaged 39 attempts a game. He's averaged 27 this year, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. If they keep winning, you want to talk about a dark horse for the MVP? He won't win it, but I'm telling you, the plays he is making in the game have been elite plays to do it. He's playing with a brand new bravado, brand new swagger. I really like it.
Oh, I love this, Bobby. This is just so wonderful because as somebody in Ravens flock, oh no, drinking, is it bourbon? I got to look up his full name there. He says all them MVPs. What's that?
I got no clue, but I'll look it up for you.
Okay, thank you. He prior to this video coming out, he listed all the quarterbacks that were in the MVP conversation and how they're just like, especially this last week, just didn't do well. Josh Allen, 0 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Jared Goff, 3 interceptions in the first half. He's writing this during the games, but it turned out to be 5. Jaden Daniels, 0 touchdowns. He called him Patricia Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, 1 touchdown. QBR of only 61.8. But we could go back also, Bobby, it was Josh Allen that was kind of leading it when Lamar, outplayed him. Jaden Daniels at the time, it's crazy to think so now. At the time, Dak Prescott was kind of in the MVP conversation. Trying to think who else. Oh, Joe Burrow right before that game. They're like, oh, if he beats Lamar, you put him in that MVP conversation, and just right on cue. Now it's her. I hope Herbert has an amazing game. The Chargers play the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. So that works for me twofold because I would love the Chargers to beat the Bengals even more. Just keep pushing them out of the playoff picture. And then it just builds up the conversation more, put him in the MVP conversation so that when Lamar goes in there, he can show once again, anybody that you guys keep putting in this MVP convo, I'm just going to outduel him. I'm going to take him down and remind you week after week. So right on cue, it's coming in for me, Bobby. So we can keep the tradition going this season.
When I look at the Chargers, it kind of feels similarly the way in which I discussed the Steelers. And that was yesterday, essentially asking, who have they played? Who have they won? And do they have more to prove? And I think Pittsburgh still has more to prove, which is why I wasn't willing to refer to them as a Super Bowl contender. I think I feel the same way about the Chargers right now. Their wins have come against Vegas, Carolina, Denver, New Orleans, Cleveland, and most recently this past weekend, Tennessee. There's not one playoff team aside from maybe Denver in their 6 wins. And so I would just say, if you know, and that's not to take away from Justin's numbers this year. It's just I think he and his team have more to prove.
Yeah.
And I think when you compare those to the Ravens' 6 wins, you got a lot of postseason teams and a lot of elite quarterbacks that Lamar and company have had to go through in order to get to where they are right now through 10 weeks. By the way, should we give drinking bourbon his due here?
Yeah.
And look what you're gonna get a good kick out of this.
What
So I
happened?
go over to his profile.
Yeah.
Drinking bourbon and talkingsports.com is where you got that tweet from.
Yeah.
I scroll down. I'm like, wait a second. Drinking
blocked
bourbon,
you.
who I have no idea who this dude is, has blocked me. What is up with this blocking trend that we've been in here?
I don't
Chris
know. Who
Canty.
else did you get blocked? Oh, Canty blocked you.
Chris Canty, Shannon Sharp with you.
Well, I'm sorry you've been blocked, but I did like his tweet.
I
That
did
was a good
too.
tweet. I don't
did
know why
too.
you've been blocked.
Dang.
I keep continuing. Isn't it cool? It's interesting though how it's changed though, that you can be blocked, but you can still see their stuff now. You just can't engage with them.
Right?
But by the way, you could end up go seeing their stuff anyway. All you would have to do is log out of your account and go see it anyway. But
Jeremiah says I'm annoying. Jeremiah, I'm sorry, I'm annoying. Ravens have 7 wins.
Jeremiah's
by the way.
here every day though.
The Ravens have 7 wins, not 6. Let me correct myself there. But yeah, Jeremiah's here every day, so he must just enjoy putting himself through misery.
Yeah, he must be putting himself through misery. Okay,
Oh,
continuing on the MVP conversation. Mina Kimes. Oh my gosh, this was phenomenal. She had said something about Lamar Jackson being an MVP and for the 3rd time. And a follower of hers replied and said, well, Lamar's being propped up a ton by the addition of Derrick Henry. He's still not better. He's still not a better QB than Allen. I'm telling you, the Bills fans cannot get over last year and that Lamar got his 2nd MVP over Allen. Like it is a full. We are deep into another season, and it's still happening. So Mina replies, "Funny you mentioned that. I was just looking this up. Lamar's QBR this year is 77, which is first in the NFL. When Derrick Henry is not on the field, it's 80. Like, it's 80. She says on-off splits are always impacted by down and distance, of course. But yeah, well, then the other part to that is that Lamar is a 2-time MVP before Derrick Henry came. How can you, like, with a straight face, make the argument that Derrick Henry is propping him up? Now, for sure, Derrick Henry is making Lamar's job a bit easier. And Lamar is making Derrick Henry's job a bit easier. Like they've both had phenomenal seasons without each other, but I promise you, they're helping each other be better. That's just what happens when you put 2 future Hall of Famers on the same team together. But that was hilarious that Mina came with the numbers. She came with the numbers and receipts. She was ready.
I'm not sure there's a more respectful clapbacker, if that's a word, in the NFL Twitter community than Mina Kimes.
That is what I strive to be. I like to be a respectful clapbacker, but she comes back with some good stats.
You do. Yeah, that's always been your mantra. And Mina, I think, embodies that.
Yep.
Laid out the facts, finished it with a little bit of Mina personality with the yup, which I find to be very entertaining. Yep. and the rest was history. I'm pretty sure that one's got, I haven't looked since last week. It was popping off. I'd have to think that thing, I don't know where it was when you screenshot it, but it had to have been a couple million impressions, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I didn't grab that part. Yeah. Pretty good.
Some super chats are coming in before Micah.
Okay.
Ocean says, God forbid Lamar get a good running back for once. LOL.
I know, right?
Chip says, imagine the commentary if Lamar had thrown 5 picks or was playing like Mahomes has played all year. And we are fully caught up on super chats thus far. We appreciate you guys for being here. What did Micah Parsons have to say?
Well,
about LJ8.
Well, yeah, I won't talk about why he's really in the national media right now. Some feel he threw his head coach under the bus. He said that's not what his intention was, but he kind of essentially said I don't know if he meant to, but he basically said his head coach doesn't work hard. But I think what he was trying to say is that players have to sacrifice more and their careers are shorter. But anyway, we won't go down that road.
They're living a nightmare right now.
They are. You don't want to be in Dallas right now.
Dak's season-ending injury is a thing. He's done.
Yes.
He's getting season-ending surgery. Their head coach, who I believe his contract is expiring, is in the news for all the wrong reasons. They've underperformed and then some. Their owner makes just as many headlines as anybody within that organization does in terms of on-field play or lack thereof. And they're in a completely winnable division. I know Philly's having a heck of a year, and Washington obviously is right there as well. But with the amount of talent that they have littered all throughout their roster, I mean, what a disappointment. We're going to have to do a segment before this year is over. Which is the most disappointing storyline in the entire NFL? Them and the Jets might go head-to-head this year.
Yeah.
But
yeah, good question. I just want to say, I know people are saying that Parsons clarified. I think he tried to clarify, but I don't think he has yet gone all the way there. But again, I'm interpreting it with grace, just like you all. I think I know what he was trying to say, but he didn't. He still, even in his clarification, I don't feel like he's actually said it yet. But I do think I know where he's trying to go. So, anywho, I will say I love where he's going here with his take on Lamar. I see some people saying, hey, Micah, come to Baltimore. We could sure use that for sure. And I know I saw it on his podcast. I'm telling you guys, at least the clips I've heard, I'll say this. On his podcast, I heard the clips of clarification. I still don't feel like he went all the way there. But again, I feel like I know where he's trying to go. All right. Either way, here's another clip from his podcast talking about Lamar.
As we've seen the throws, what Lamar's doing right now, it's not even comparable. Lamar should be the clear front runner for MVP. This is by far has been the most and best season since I've been in the league, since I've seen him. He's just looked unstoppable. He's confident. His receivers seem confident. Just everything about them just seemed way more confident, man. Lamar is just that guy. And you say the person below him is Goff. You know, Goff and Mahomes, but no one's touching Lamar right now. That win against the Bengals, wow. I mean, I think there was a great weekend of football. That Lions-Texans game was super impressive. That Baltimore Bengals game, how high scoring, the players, I think it was an electrifying week for football. And, you know, these quarterbacks are just lighting up right now. So, you know, shout out to Lamar.
Bobby, the trend continues. The people that give the most respect to Lamar are the players. It's always the players. Now, that's not to say people outside the players don't do it, but it's always the players where he can just get there and be like, it's so clear cut. Yes, number 2 is Jared Goff, but Lamar is not even being touched right now. It's always the players that put it in perspective because they're the ones that are on the field and have to deal with this man.
It's seared into my memory, into my brain, how dejected he was on his podcast the day, or maybe it was his post-game press conference, actually, after the Ravens, thumped them. And Dallas gave, obviously, a very admirable comeback, as we all remember, in the second half that day. But Lamar went in and had one of his MV3 performances, which we've grown accustomed to seeing throughout the course of this season. But yeah, to your point, it's always the players that are on the field that have almost a collective, universal level of respect and admiration for what he's able to do. And by the way, just to add on to what you were mentioning as well, Micah sort of adding or clarifying comments that he made, he ripped in this same exact podcast episode right here. I'm just seeing a clip that went viral on X. He called out Rex Ryan specifically for taking his words out of context. So Micah has definitely addressed it. It's just a matter of what's your interpretation. And and obviously that's certainly been a little bit all over the place for Micah.
But listen, I really couldn't, that's their mess to deal with. I just don't even, really care.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, so as far as Pittsburgh week, of course, coming up on Sunday, 1:00, in Steelers country the Ravens will travel to, and they are 3.5-point road favorites. They've been a favorite at Pittsburgh for 3 of the past 5 trips they've made. And the last 8 meetings between these two teams have been decided by an average of 4 points. Jamison Hensley, the note on X. We know how it's pretty much one score decision every single time these two teams meet.
Last 8 meetings decided by an average of 4 points. It's going to be. Listen, the Vegas is giving the Ravens respect by making him 3.5 favorites on the road. We both know this isn't going to be easy. I really like some tweets that Spencer Schultz put out about Russell Wilson that I thought were interesting. So we've been talking a lot in Baltimore about the Ravens' success in zone versus man. Mm-hmm. We know at least against the Bengals, the Ravens were way more successful in man than they were in zone, but that has not been the case throughout the season. In fact, they've actually been more successful in zone if you look at this season in totality than they have been in man. But if we're being honest, they've just been terrible all across the board. Okay. It doesn't matter. Okay. So let's look at Russell Wilson. So Spencer Schultz puts out that Russell Wilson against man coverage has 143 QB rating, 21 for 33 for 388 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's pretty good. Now Russell Wilson against zone, whether it's 2, 3, 4, or 6. 73 quarterback rating, 22 for 41, 290 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception, only a 41% success rate. Small sample size. So here's what's funny is because of that Bengals game, a lot of Ravens fans are screaming to go back to man. Although I pumped the brakes on that yesterday because they haven't been great in man before. But even in addition, it seems like it would be better to be in zone against Russell. And we, I watched a clip with on ESPN with Orlovsky, who was saying that it was dumb of the Commanders to stay in man with a one single high safety, because all Russell does is just fling it up and either get Mike Williams or Micah Parsons to go and get it.
Well,
and he misses
George Pickens. Yeah.
What did I say?
Micah Parsons.
We're back to old days where I'm like, what did I say? Yeah, George Pickens.
I know you want Micah
in a couple
in this
months.
game. All right. I knew you. Listen. I knew you wanted Micah. I didn't know you wanted him suiting up for the rival.
Yeah,
all
well,
right?
As wide receiver, sure. Why not?
Oh man.
Oh, that was a. I haven't done that in a couple months where I'm like,
you're
what did I
good.
say?
Williams and Pickens though are the two targets that he'll be going after.
He just
from a
throws
deep
it up
ball game.
one-on-one and and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Williams or Pickens, aka Micah Parsons, going out and just doing that over Stevens. Could you imagine? Because Stevens will be there right in coverage without his head turned, and the Pickens will just be like, pluck, just pluck it right out over his helmet. So I'm not trying to see that. So I almost prefer in zone. Then look over to the right of this, Bobby. Check this out. Okay. Where did the Ravens have the most trouble? If we're talking about the part of the field, where do they have the most trouble?
Yeah. Deep and intermediate.
Middle though, right? Middle.
Yep.
Right. It's usually like right over the linebacker's head, right in front of the safeties. This is just one chart, just because I didn't want to bring them all in, but Spencer put up like the charts of all of his games since he's played. Look, this is all a small sample size. It's 3 games, but Spencer put up all 3. So I just grabbed this one, but they're all very similar to this. All his passes are to the sides, and it's like, hallelujah, Roquan and company there in the middle may not have to worry about it. You just keep going out there. Because now who knows? Maybe the Ravens won't be any good out there either. But I say you might have to stick to zone this week and hope that this trend keeps up, that he doesn't pick apart the linebackers over the middle of the field.
The game plan is clear.
The game plan.
We recognize the game plan from an opposing offensive standpoint. Taking a look at the Ravens defense, what they put on tape, you would think the game plan strategization is clear. But hey, week to week league, we'll see if the Ravens can start to avenge and turn the tide a little bit here.
Yeah, and Bobby, yesterday we had talked about Lamar's quarterback rating and his stats against the Steelers over his career. And it's for sure his worst. He's put up his worst numbers against the Steelers. However, some in the chat reminded us how badly his wide receivers let him down. And I love this new AI overview on Google. They pulled this up perfectly for me.
I've been using it all the time lately.
Yeah, it's really kind of good, actually.
Not even just football related things.
Yeah, like all sorts of things. We're in this AI world. Okay, so anyway, I just Googled, wide receiver drops Lamar Jackson Steelers, and it pulled it up perfectly from last year. Let's not forget last year. So this isn't just a Lamar has to up his game. This is please, Derrick Henry and all the receivers come to play for Lamar. They got me pounding the desk here, Bobby. They got me pounding the desk. Okay, in that 17-10 loss on October 8th last year, 5 drops. There was the one where Nelson Aguilar dropped a 44-yard touchdown pass. I wish honestly, I have the clips for it, but we can't play it for copyright purposes. I wish I could play it for you.
It was a bad one.
It was a bad one. Mark Andrews dropped a pass in the end zone. Rashad Bateman, I remember this one. Remember, he dropped it. I mean, he was so open. He was crossing in the back of the end zone, drops it, and starts pounding the ground because he knows how bad it was.
Yep.
Then Odell Beckham Jr., who was brought in to be he's the veteran who can come and help Lamar. Finally, Lamar's got weapons. Odell Beckham Jr. left a pass short, or let's see, Jackson left a pass short for Beckham Jr., who was intercepted by Joey Porter. Listen, the Steelers have a phenomenal defense. I don't know what they're ranked right now, but they got to be in the top 5. We got to look that up. I'm sure we'll talk about it later in the week. They're also a division foe. All division foes play each other their best. We just saw it with Denver against Mahomes. We see it year in and year out. You know that they're going to play you well because they know you. When Lamar makes a play, especially in the passing game, come through for him. If Lamar has an option and he gives it to you, Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, come through for him. Lamar also needs to come through. But when he makes those plays, come through for him. Because the Steelers will take advantage of your mistakes for sure.
And we can all remember what happened in Cleveland, right? Well, yeah. I mean, on that note, we can all remember what happened in Cleveland too. 3 third down drops.
Yeah.
At least 3 dropped interceptions. You can't do that you couldn't do that against Cleveland.
Yeah.
On an average day offensively. You certainly aren't going to be able to do that on the road in Pittsburgh, who leads this division right now.
And who also, by the way, has been putting up 30.3 points since Russell Wilson took over.
Since Russ got back. Yep. Yeah. For 3, it's a 3-game sample size. They're 3-0. The offense.
Now, some people are saying they dropped more. Some people say it's more like 7. Sometimes drops are subjective. Yeah. But officially, I think it went down as 5.
Sure.
But you could probably.
Well, hey, the Steelers are going to be without one of their stud linebackers and stud pass rushers. Alex Highsmith has been ruled out. He's expected to miss a couple weeks, according to some reporters over there. So now, this is where things kind of go back, Sarah, to the trade deadline and where the Ravens could have improved, could have added to their pass rush department. They chose not to. They went with Tre'Davious White and, of course,
Deontay Johnson. Not the right word.
Well, they opted from a business side of things to stick to their guns, to stick to their philosophies. How about that?
Right.
Whereas the Steelers,
I mean, they offered a 3rd rounder, and then they try to get Calais. Now they chose not to overpay for them. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Now Pittsburgh chose to take a flyer on Preston Smith, who they got as a rotational pass rusher. And now all of a sudden that pays dividends right away because Highsmith goes down. Preston's going to step up. I don't know what the drop off will be, but they have a stable waiting for him there. So,
yes, they do. Now, so I wanted to. This is kind of random. Maybe this should have been a quick hit. Are we into quick hits? Maybe we've made it to quick hits.
Oh, we're into quick hits. All right.
Okay, so quick hit. All right. So I pulled this up because I was actually kind of surprised by it because during the game we tweet and we're just like, we're not looking at comments because you're watching the game and you move on to the next tweet, and then you're going to the press conferences, and then we have our show, and then before you know it, it's 2 a.m. and whatever. But randomly, my own tweet got put into my own algorithm.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't notice. So I did a screen grab of that moment when Lamar Jackson had his arm around EDC. I was like, well, that's a nice moment. Even though it didn't feel nice at the time, because we're like all on pins and needles wondering what's going to happen on this review. Anyway, got put back in. That picture got 9,000 likes, viewed almost 250,000 times. And it made me want to reflect back on it and want to get your thoughts and chat's thoughts. Why do you think this resonated so much with people? For me and my thoughts, I'll give you a second to think about it. But I feel like the media, and sometimes fans too, when there's negotiations going on for contracts, I feel like the media is constantly trying to pit players against front office executives. And sometimes, and of course they're pitted because they're both negotiating for their own best interests, right? Lamar's negotiating for his best interests. He wants to get the absolute best deal he can. This is going to be the biggest deal he can ever get. It's going to be generational wealth. EDC wants Lamar and also needs to do it in a way that he feels like he can field the team for the next however many years. Okay, so everybody in negotiations we're looking out for their own best interests, as it should be. So in that sense, they are kind of, I don't know, against each other, if you will. But I felt like with how long this took, it went to a level of like acting like it was personal, right? Like when Lamar Jackson drops the tweet, hey, I'm going to ask for a trade, just as John Harbaugh sits down. Or the Ravens don't really respect Lamar. They would have paid him a long time ago, yada, yada, yada. And the media makes it personal. And I think you remember throughout that entire offseason, I was pushing against that. And it's like, no. I've been through Ray Lewis. I've been through Terrell Suggs. Remember I don't know if you remember this, because you might have still been in college or maybe even high school, but they had to go to arbitration with Suggs because he wanted to be paid as a defensive end, not just like an outside linebacker, because the inside linebackers bring it down. So I had been through so many negotiations, and that it feels so personal. And then once a deal is done, like you're cool again. And so I feel like this is part of the reason why it may have resonated, that it was like, I genuinely think Lamar and EDC really like each other. I think Lamar's cool with everybody. I think he's cool with all of his coaches. Lamar's is that kind of guy. But I think they genuinely like each other. And then after everything they went through with each other, like I just do. I feel like they genuinely like each other. And I wonder if people just got like that vibe that they're cool, that they're family, that there's all love there, despite everything that they've been through together. Am I reading too deep into it, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, the question you asked me was, I think you've already laid it all out. There's really nothing else to add. You asked, why did this resonate?
Yeah.
And I think it's the most talked about negotiation, the most visible, actually, it was invisible. You want to know why it was invisible? Because Lamar didn't say anything.
And neither side said anything. You know who was talking? It was the NFLPA.
Yeah. So the visibility came from the media attention that it garnered, not the players that were involved. EDC in the front office being a player, and Lamar, of course, and his mother and his team being a player collectively.
Yeah.
This was highly, highly discussed. Everybody wanted in on this for months, if not more than that, because he played on his fifth-year option.
Yeah.
We all remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's as simple as that. And when these two are, hand in hand, Lamar's hand is over EDC's shoulders. They're hanging out in a very tense, crucial moment. Yeah, I just think it speaks to how far those two have come and the relationship that they have.
I think the other thing that kind of plays into it, Bobby, is because you hear this all the time. Football is family, and you'll go inside the locker room, and the Ravens and all teams put up clips, and a lot of times they get in the huddle and they'll say family on 2, 1, 2, family. Yep. And so when you're out there in a battle of sorts, right? They call it a battle, and you're putting your body on the line, and it's the ultimate team sport that you see, especially Lamar, like they don't throw each other under the bus. It's like, it is actually news. Like in the case of Micah, it's actually news if you're not totally lock and step with one another. And so, so people have a hard time transitioning from this like family atmosphere that football is to when you get to the off season and they are able to flip a switch and go into business mode. And so all of a sudden from the outside, you're like, wait, you're betraying one another. I thought you guys were family. And it's like, no, it takes highly mature people to be able to be like, love you, but we're doing business right now. And this isn't going to get personal, but I am going to look out for my self-interest. And I'm not going to hate you for you looking out for your self-interest. And you're not going to hate me for looking out for my self-interest, but we're just going to get this done. And then every once in a while, things really do go sour. But everybody projects that almost onto every single negotiation. And it doesn't have to be that way. I feel like you have to know the personalities more to have faith that they're going to overcome it together.
Well, the umbrella over all of this is the best part for both parties. These two are both winners right now.
Yeah.
Lamar was worth every dollar.
Worth every single dime. Yeah.
He silenced everybody anybody and everybody that ever questioned his value. They've been silenced for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And of course, the Ravens are huge winners as well, because at some point in this contract, Sarah, maybe already he can be viewed as a bargain. Yeah. He's going to be viewed as a bargain. He's not even the highest paid player in the league right now, because we know how that goes with contracts that come immediately after.
Right.
And there's been plenty of quarterbacks since Lamar got his deal that have gotten theirs. He's literally viewed as a bargain right now.
And this is we're going on a tangent now, but I don't care. This is such
your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. This is supposed to be a quick hit. This is such an underrated part of Lamar Jackson's personality. This man loves football. How many players have you seen get paid and are like, I'm good? Now, this is a super low standard, but I'm just thinking of the quarterback in Cleveland, where it just feels like he got his guaranteed money, hasn't done a thing since. Now, that's like the most extreme, right? But there's just so many people that like, or how about this with Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson, since Pee Wee football, has been one of the most talented athletes on the planet. So much so that it continued into college, when usually people start to catch up to you. And then you have some of those superstars. Okay, it didn't catch up to you in college, and then you make it to the NFL. And it still didn't catch up to him, because in his second year, he's an MVP. Despite the God-given talent, this man has a work ethic. And you know that because a look at the way his game has evolved from 2018 to 2019. And then you fast forward to 2023, where he's becoming more of a passer. And then 2024, he's putting it all together. The passing, the mental side of it, the chess side of it. And it's like, this man is so driven from within, because he has the talent and he has the money, but he hasn't lost the desire. It's such an underrated part. People talk about Tom Brady and how hard he worked and how much he wanted it, especially in those older years when he was taking care of his body, this and that. I wish more people saw this side of Lamar, that he wants it to the point that his game has evolved. And again, I know that he could pass in college. Part of it was Greg Roman and how the Ravens used him and all of that. But even on top of it, he's improved. He wants to be great. And that's a desire from within. And that's why he works. And that's why he evolves. And I wish he got more credit for that, Bobby.
Well said. The ultimate quick hit.
Okay,
here's
let's
one
do
more.
Quick on this one.
Another Steelers note here. Patrick Queen found himself in a little scuffle in game with Commanders tight end John Bates. And as Sam Fortier of the Washington Post described, he's never seen Bates as mad as he was on Sunday. And here is some audio from Sam and a TikTok that he made for the Washington Post of describing what took place between these two players. And of course, this all has to do with PQ reuniting with Baltimore, and we'll wonder and anticipate if a similar flair is coming up on Sunday.
Never seen Washington Commanders tight end John Bates get as mad as he did Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He got tangled up with linebacker Patrick Queen, but you couldn't see what happened on the broadcast.
Like I said, I was just playing through the whistle. It's just the way I play. And, I mean, if you go back and watch the film, in my opinion, it was him probably trying to do something dirty to me. And things happened, and it is what it is.
It's unclear when Queen and Bates would play again, but whenever that is, expect no love lost between them.
So Patrick Queen sees the video that we just shared. You heard the audio. The video is up on X. And quote tweets Sam and says, tried to dump me, so I dumped him. If he's still mad, I ain't hard to find, as one Coach Prime always has said in the past. So PQ, Sarah. He's living in his villain era.
Oh, he is. His villain era, which most of the time he likes, but sometimes when people give it back to him, he doesn't like. That was what happened initially. But yeah, he's not going to be hard to find this weekend. I am so looking forward to that.
He's not going to be hard to find this weekend. Listen to you.
There's a chance. Listen, he's going to want so badly, and could you blame him, to show EDC and the Ravens that y'all should have kept me. I guarantee he's at home kind of smiling a little bit, looking at how bad the inside linebackers are struggling this year in Baltimore.
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt. And then he wants to pile that on, and by playing, just balling out. The Ravens absolutely cannot let him do his signature thing where he cuts through the offensive line and meets a running back in the backfield. Or if he does, I hope that, Derrick Henry is able to stiff arm him to the ground. Like, he's going to want to prove that the Ravens missed out. That's his opportunity. And the Ravens have the opportunity to get their linebackers back and their general managers back by preventing him from doing any damage. Like, this is for sure one of the biggest matchups I'm going to be watching.
I'm expecting a fair share of post whistle antics.
Oh yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot in between the lines and pre-whistles, but I think the post-whistle extracurriculars will be plentiful, particularly in the first half.
Who's it going to be with? Who's going to get
I don't know. I'm expecting Maulette to be involved in some chatter. Certainly PQ.
Defense. It's got to be somebody on offense.
Well, I'm just saying in general. I'm not just talking about PQ.
Saying after the whistle.
I could see Zay getting into a little bit of chatter.
Okay, they could definitely say something, although I don't know how much he'll meet him.
Maybe I could see Ricard.
Is Isaiah Likely going to be back? I could see Isaiah Likely doing it if he'll be back.
I could see Ricard getting some people pissed off.
Oh.
Yeah, this is going to be.
See, Derek's not a talker. That's the thing.
He's not.
People are saying Derek. I mean, they're going to clash physically, but Derek's not a talker.
Yeah, no, this is going to be box office. For the first time in a long time, I'm fired up for the Ravens Steelers. Like,
I'm fired up.
It's not to say there haven't been good games in the past few years.
No, but it feels like it's coming back, right?
This
the
is
rivalry.
Different. This feels different.
Yeah, it feels like it's coming back. Like the extra little excitement for it's coming back.
A little zest here.
What'd you call it?
Zest. There's a little bit of zest here.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to it. Roquan, I'm sure, has been looking forward to this coming out. And Adam Schefter writes, upon appeal, NFL hearing officer Jordy Nelson has rescinded the $16,883 fine levied against Roquan for his alleged unnecessary roughness on Chris Godwin on the play that ended up dislocating Chris Godwin's ankle. We all remember that on Monday Night Football. This was originally deemed to be a hip drop tackle.
Well, no, it wasn't originally. He didn't get flagged on it. Then they fined him anyway.
But it was.
So originally, if I'm just saying, if you're using the word originally there was no flag.
In game, yes.
In game.
Yes.
Then
in the aftermath.
Fined him, yes. In the aftermath, yeah.
Yep. So some more money back in Roquan's pocket. Obviously, still doesn't take away from, Chris. I mean, it doesn't change anything for Chris. Unfortunately, his season's over.
Yeah.
But as far as Roquan's concerned,
well, remember, Q got into our chat saying he felt like it was legit. And I said, I don't think so. Like, to me, it didn't meet all 3 elements of the hip drop tackle rule. Like, it didn't. So I think Jordy's got it right here. And I feel bad. I mean, we want to give another shout out to Chris Godwin. Like, the real important thing is that he was injured, dislocated that ankle, and wish him nothing but the best. But if we're talking about, whether that should have been called a hip drop tackle or whether he should have been fined, I don't think so, because it didn't meet all 3 elements.
As far as the upcoming AFC North Hard Knocks, we all remember that this is going to start to film, and cameras and crews are going to be descending onto AFC North organizations here pretty shortly. I believe I heard Chad Steele during yesterday's press conference.
Yeah, that's what I have right there.
That, I hadn't seen this slide yet. So there you have it. You have the quote. Senior Vice President of Comms, Chad Steele, told Jerry Coleman, who asked Harbaugh when the cameras are coming in for this HBO series. It's after the Chargers game, which is that Monday night game coming up later this month. And Adam, the tweet that you pulled in here, says that this might end up being the best sports television to ever air.
It's too bad that it doesn't start now. Like, I would like both games in there, but at least we'll get one game of Ravens Steelers with Hard Knocks inside the buildings. Oh,
it just lives up to the bill.
I'm going to be glued to the TVs when these come out. This comes on HBO. Where does HBO, if you're streaming, where do I get HBO? I guess I have to order it. I might have to make that sacrifice.
I'm sure a lot of people will be joining you. What the heck is this?
Look at this.
What is this?
I know. I saw it, so now you have to see it. That's right. I saw it, so now you have to see it, and so does our entire audience. For the audio only, Kodak Icy, who's actually a Houston, from the Houston Twitter world, put up a Photoshop of Joe Burrow in a purple Ravens uniform and Lamar Jackson in a black and orange Bengals uniform, and he said, "Just imagine." So, Bobby, I didn't want to imagine, but then I started to. And I'll say this. I think the Bengals would be better off if they had Lamar Jackson, because they don't sign their players. And they would need somebody like Lamar Jackson to carry their team time in and time out. I also don't think Joe Burrow would do super great in Baltimore unless they changed their strategy and actually paid for wide receivers, because I don't think Joe Burrow would be as good as he is without what he's had prior to this year, basically a trio, probably the best trio in the NFL for the past couple of years, and now he still has Jamar Chase. So this is an unfair trade. I don't want the trade. I don't want it. And so I'm not going to take it, and we still have Lamar. So I saw it, and I had to imagine it, so you did too.
Well, you're putting the live chat through a lot of pain based on the comments that are pouring in down there. So look, guys, this is on my co-host.
On me.
Right here.
That's right. Put it on me.
All right. I'm not wearing this one.
I don't care. I didn't want to be miserable alone. I had to see it, so all you guys had to see it.
I ain't wearing it. Our newest patron, Laura, who just signed up yesterday to become part of the Vault Patreon community. This is your monthly shout out, Laura, for the first time. We appreciate you for being part of the Vault Patreon community this football season. And if you guys are interested in doing the same, you can support the show, which is the bedrock of our channel, for as little as $1.99 by visiting patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. All that information can be found in the show notes below, as always. And Laura, welcome. Let's get to some super chats. Is it Germal or Germal? Or Germal? Germal. I mean, there's 4 pronunciations right there. So this is going to be a big, flat botch by me.
Let's call him Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown.
There we go.
Thank you for the super chat. And he writes, when Derrick Henry leaves, is it a must that we draft a running back of the same caliber? I also pray we keep Munkin. Love the show. Keep it up.
Love you too. There is no caliber of Derrick Henry coming up in the draft, I don't think. Wishful thinking. And I share your sentiments on Munkin. But yes, like, look, it helps. And I think the Ravens have always wanted this. They try to do it with Dobbins with a 2nd round pick, which is generally pretty high for a running back. But yeah, keep it up. Keep it up. It only helps for sure.
I had one of our buddies our Jets content creator friend who we spent time in Vegas with last February, Jake Asman, reach out and he was like, "Hey, how much do you like Todd?" And I was like, "Oh, here we go. The Jets are starting to kind of."
Jets are circling.
Yeah,
They're
they're in
circling.
purgatory right now,
At least
and
their media.
I think a lot of people are starting to, it's not going to be Ulrich, their interim, probably not going to be the guy. So I also saw John Gruden's name floating around yesterday as it pertains to the Jets as well.
Yeah, Gruden. Take Gruden. He'd be way better than Monken. Way better. Take Gruden. Monken. No, he's basically Roman 2.0. Take Gruden. Take Gruden. We'll hold on to Monken for you.
I don't know what this was in reference to here, but Pretty Fresh 20 says not Super Bowl, but NFC Championship. That's him. Pretty Fresh. Oh, okay. This is in relation to the first super chat. People are mad at Marcus Williams. He's the same player who allowed Stephon Diggs in the divisional round 2018 to catch the game-winning pass that allowed the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl. Pretty Fresh then says not the Super Bowl, but the NFC Championship. That's him. Yes, Marcus was on the wrong end of that play for sure. Brian Me says, Tomlin just disrespected Deontay Johnson. I hope he gets revenge. Here's the quote that Brian Me is referring to here. It is, to be honest with you, and this was Mike Tomlin being asked about the matchup against his former player in Deontay Johnson. To be honest with you, I haven't thought a lot about it. He's not on a lot of their video. So at this stage in the week, I don't know that I weighed what he might mean to the matchup. They have more significant pieces with larger roles that occupy my attention at this part of the week. Feels like I know it didn't necessarily end well there.
I know they're basically saying, hey, you're not even worth they're interpreting it as, hey, you're not even worth my thought. But he's like, he's not on the video. He's just got here. Yeah. But if I'm Deontay Johnson, I would take it the same way as Brimey and say, yeah, you disrespect me. You're not even thinking about me. Okay, I'll make you think about me. That's the way Deontay should take it. But it's also kind of facts. Like there's just not a lot of film, and he's not going to be taking snaps over Zay or Bateman or tight ends. All that.
And knowing Tomlin, he probably said it just as clear cut.
Matter of fact.
Yeah. As possible, but
yeah,
we'll see what the internet runs with it. How? Asmodeus says, the national media wants drama. It draws viewers. Jang says, would it be so terrible to try Sanusi Kane or Bo Braid at safety? Can't imagine them performing worse than Marcus. Or can they? Thoughts? We talked about that a little bit at the end of last week.
I'm not seeing him in practice, so it's hard to say, but I get the logic in what she's saying.
Jemmy93 says, see Mr. Quote, see Mr. DaCosta. That's the defense that will lose us the playoffs. See, we're needing more help there. That's the vibe I'd get him to see how bad. Jemmy's is referring to the screenshot that we had up earlier in what I'm going to call the ultimate quick hit, which was your screenshot of the telecast the other day with Lamar and EDC.
Now you see Mr. EDC. Yeah, I can totally.
Yeah, I got you, Jemmy.
It's the defense that's going to lose us the playoffs.
I probably didn't emphasize the right words the first time through there on the super chat. Captain Hard says, could be an advantage. Russell Wilson has always struggled to see the middle of the field throughout his career. Gerald Jackson says, beat the Steelers.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need. That's what we need to do. Is there a bigger game this season? This is a momentum grabbing opportunity. A moment grabbing.
I'd say week 3 was pretty big because the Ravens were 0-2. Week 3 was pretty big. But to his point, this is division. This is the division. They're ahead of the Ravens right now. They're the division leaders. They've played well against the Ravens in the Lamar Jackson era. It's massive. It's bragging rights. It's getting the first place in the division. It's massive. It's massive.
And Turn Jackson says, is there a chance that Lamar gets even better? Thinking year 3 or 4 in this offense if the Monk Man doesn't leave for a head coaching job. Hadn't heard that one before. The Monk Man.
I like that. Well, Lamar, to your point, Lamar is several times I've heard him say in the media, because especially when he's with the national media, they're like, what has it been? He's like, hey, we're in year 2 of the offense. Like we were pretty good in year 1, but this is year 2, so we're feeling more comfortable. So sure, could he get better? Sure. Yeah. He's gotten better
21
every
super
year.
chat donations.
How many?
Thank you guys for being here. 21 super chat donations, over 3,500 of you joining us concurrently right now. As always, if you enjoyed the show, subscribe. We're coming up on that 20,000 subscription count number. So would love to hit that milestone at some point in the near future.
And you know
Like
what tomorrow is for super chats? We got another giveaway tomorrow.
Yep. And Kevin,
are you
going to
wear one tomorrow? Are you wearing one tomorrow?
I don't have my stuff yet. It's still in. My mom flew down instead of driving, so.
Oh, okay.
She needed to make room for all my homage merch is up in New York, so I'll get it when I'm up there for Thanksgiving.
Got it.
Asmodeus says, I prefer monk mode. Do we have
Monk
any
mode.
Madison updates?
Monk mode.
No, nothing really. Life's just been crazy over the last 5 days with my mom in town, and my sister and her boyfriend were in town for a wedding. They all stayed with me. I went to a wedding with them. Madison and I are still chatting. We're texting. She just got a doodle. She just she's a dog mom now, so she's been busy with that. But yeah, we've just been chatting it up. No FaceTime since last week, so we'll probably do that when my mom leaves. I've just been literally hanging with my mom, working, doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I think we're good here.
We're good?
I think we're fully good. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Like you said, we'll have a homage giveaway coming up tomorrow. Kevin just emailed us a bunch of new information that we'll dive into and share with you tomorrow. And of course, if you guys haven't already figured it out, our Wednesday giveaways are fun. You throw in a super chat, essentially, you follow the instructions, and all of a sudden you enter into a randomized giveaway for Ravens merch through homage. So, yeah.
Bobby, it's 1:29.
Yeah, we got to go.
I can't believe it.
Unbelievable.
It's my bad. It's my bad on this quick hits.
You said
I
it.
had things to say.
You said it.
I said it.
It's all good. Enjoy spending time with you guys. We're not doing 90, Troy. All right, you can take your 90 and walk.
It might be 1:29, but we're officially an hour and 23 minutes in. We're done. We're not making it.
The noon lunch hour stream is so weird, right? We love it. It's really fit our lives well, I think, especially for you. It is do you eat before or after?
I eat after.
Is lunch before?
I don't have time. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming right in after my workout, shower, get the show ready. Yeah. But I'm running off of adrenaline. I love coming into the show because it's after a workout. You know, we're always crunched for time to make sure we have the latest. And I just feel like I come in every day with adrenaline, feeling good.
No doubt.
I felt good today. It's been a good day.
Sun's shining. So
nice fall day.
Well, thank you guys for being here as always. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment. Would love to hear from you. We've heard from a lot of people via email, by the way, in recent days, which is a great way to communicate with us, which is a great way to share content. A lot of our content today was thanks to folks, like Sarah said off the top, that reached out to us. Rayvon Shepard was the reason why we knew what was going on with First Things First. So shout out Rayvon. Shout out Dion Coleman, who's a patron of ours. Sherry Ramirez. Irvin Carroll. We haven't even opened this one from November 6th. He or she has a fix for the defense in the subject line. Trayvon Wright.
We got to read some emails.
We really need to get around to this. Sean Hodgins in late October sent us stuff. Will Thornley. We appreciate you guys. So we see it. We just don't always get to it. We don't always read it. But we always see it. Yeah, we always see it, and we appreciate you guys very much. It's just that in-season grind. You know how it goes. And as always, thank you. Thank you for all that you do as a member of the Vault Patreon or Vault community just in general. And, of course, shout out our patrons as well. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Tuesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. On Wednesday, we will have an homage giveaway. We will continue to work towards Week 11 and the Ravens and Steelers. Sarah will be out on Friday, but I can tell you that I have a guest booked for our Steelers preview, and it is none other than the voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers and a family friend of mine who this is his first year in the booth for them. His name is Rob King. He took my aunt, I think I mentioned this yesterday, to prom in Cooperstown, New York. So this is going to be a fun little one-on-one that he and I will have. We'll carry the fort as always, Sarah, and look forward to catching up with you guys in under 23 hours from right now for a Wednesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. For Sarah, I'm Bobby, and as always, Thanks for joining us here inside the vault. Go have a fantastic day, and we'll catch up with you